Welcome to Warjax Games Club podcast season 2, episode 1. We're the hosts, Brandon and Shaun.
What up?
What's going on? Chilling on a Monday?
Yup. Excited for season 2?
Yeah, season 2. We're doing a little different. We're starting with best lists of Warmachine.
Yeah, best listen to Warmachine. I have that Warmachine bug again, so
Yeah.
I'm back.
Yeah, the current moment, we're hyped on Warmachine, so we'll see how long it lasts. But I'm sure.
For
Or at
me,
least I'm trying to go to Captain Con, so
I am very disappointed that I will not be at Captain Con, but it happens. I will not be at Captain Con. I am expecting another child in February, like February 7th range, something like that, like right around the time of Captain Con. So I unfortunately will not be there this year, but I will be there next year. So
yeah, imagine we knew the date was right on the 7th. You could go.
this is true. If I knew I could come back and have a couple days before the kid got here, yes, I would go. But like, my luck's not that good, and she's guaranteed to go into labor while I'm in Rhode Island. So
Oh yeah, definitely happening. We're sitting at the
not the
airport.
play.
We
Yes.
get off the plane and you have 3 missed calls. Well, 100 missed calls.
Yeah. Would not be the play. So unfortunately, I will most likely. There's a chance that he comes early, like really early in January, and then I'd be like, "Yo, your mom's gonna come stay with you for a little bit, and I'm going to Rhode Island." There's a chance, but most likely not happening.
Yeah.
But
So
yes.
what we got? We have the top list from 5 of the larger events from past month.
Yep, so I think we went back to last month. We have most of the like 4 and 5 round or cuts into the top 4 kind of events. We don't have too many like steamrollers or anything like that, but 4 and 5 round events, we have some of those. We'll talk about some of the best armies in Warmachine right now and what is winning. And yeah, we'll go from there.
Cool.
Are you ready?
I'm as ready as I can be.
Born ready, he says. All right. So we have Dragonfall 2024 Iron Gauntlet Qualifier. Was on 10-6 in Warmachine's own Travis Marg with the 4-0. Repping Cryx.
He's got inside info, that's why.
Inside info. What are your thoughts on Cryx?
I think it is literally just the same army. It's probably not actually the same army, but it's pretty cool that he only has access to the character box, the jacks, and then the first like army box, and they put up a dub like 4-0.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I would say I was making this slide and copying over the army list and stuff for these slides, and on the first one, I was just like, Mechanical Swarm.
Yeah.
I was like, what is going on? We have 6 units of Swarm. And I was like, what is going on? And then I get to list 2, and it is like, oops, all jacks. I just keep pasting more jacks. I was like, holy cow. Like, talk about a list pairing.
Yeah, and the feat of the Mechanothrall list is to add a 7th unit of Mechanothralls.
Yeah, it seems like a pain to deal with, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, so I think this is like, I think if this is what you have to build off of, this is what your list pairing looks like, because I think Eviscerus is a Jack caster, and obviously Sepsira is a Mechanothrall Swarm caster. But I actually really like that there are more than one Jack in these lists. Spoilers for, whether or not, I don't know if I love that rule change, but I don't hate it either.
Right. So I will say, so this many units just seems like a nightmare to try to like deal with from an opponent standpoint. But it's not like you don't have jacks to your.
Right.
I mean, you would have to have one anyway. But like, I think we have some lists that are coming up later that are running the 1 jack minimum, and then swarming you with units, and like, there's place for that too. But like, this seems like there's a ton of units, and you still have 3 jacks as well, which is like kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's I think Cryx actually the models look really cool too.
I
So
think they do. I think all of the new Mark IV stuff looks pretty good in my opinion.
yeah, play the if you can look into getting a Mark IV army. Unless you don't like any of them, then Malefactor is not character though, so he only has one character in the first list, and the second list has both of Grendel and Hades. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Second
Every
one.
army is getting two characters, at some point. Is this the only army that has two right now?
So I didn't even realize that
Uh,
had to. I think I asked you that when I was copying this list over. I was like, so he has two jacks that have no points for options. Like, what is going on? You're like, oh, Cryx has
yeah,
both their character ones already. And I was like, that makes sense. That checks out.
yeah. And they can have six small jacks, six raptors if they want. Which only takes 30 points. So you can really spam little guys if you
Yeah, but
really
you get a
want to.
6 point raptor is pretty crazy. With
Yeah,
arc
5
mode as
points.
well.
5 point. Oh,
Is the cheapest?
if yeah, I got you. Yeah, 5 is the cheapest, but you'd be taking. You still get the arc node if you want it.
Yeah, I assume the head at 4 points gets cheaper.
Yep, goes down to 3. It's just a melee attack, but I think that's what a Viserys does. I think he gives. Is he the one that gives? I don't know. I think it's a different one I'm thinking of.
I do not know the armies. I have been out of Warmachine for a hot. You've kept up with it a ton. You always used to keep posting stuff and changes and updates and releases and everything else. Like I was not following any of that for a while. So
Yep.
yeah, lots of catching up to do. I know Scything Touch is sweet though. I would like to have Scything Touch on my spells.
Yeah, Cryx is cool. I think people just wanted to see the faction in Mark IV, and they were like, "Here you go. Here's the same faction."
Right.
It's not exactly the same, but if you look at it, I mean, Scarlock lieutenants, thralls. Also, no boar, right, in either one of these lists.
Right.
No
Which
carver.
is nice to see.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I guess if you want to max out on jacks or swarm units, like you don't have 20 points, but that model is really good. So
that is facts. But yeah, pretty sweet for the qualifier to go 4-0. Sweet list. I like the list diversity for sure. The difference between stuffing a bunch of swarm units in there and then being able to run 6 jacks as well, including 4 like heavies, pretty sweet.
Yeah, and he actually caster killed 3 times. Only won a scenario once.
Yeah, seems
yeah.
Seems pretty solid for sure.
Because you'd think it'd be scenario with the mechanic thrall list, but yeah, Cryx is cool.
Cryx is indeed cool. Let's see. Next, we have the SoCal Open, where Brandon Owens took Dusk to a 5-0 record and undefeated. Shocker with the Dusk.
And this top 8 is 4 Dusk. 3 of them are in the top 4.
So
there is a huge shocker though in his list for me.
So it is definitely not Dusk. I will say, as distant as I have been recently and out of touch with Warmachine, coming back and looking through all these lists and like digging into stuff in order to try to go through these, like Dusk and Orgoth is literally everywhere currently, which
they are good.
Was a surprise to me. I don't know how shocking that is in general, but obviously being out of the loop, I would assume that the Mark IV armies were a little more, maybe not even balanced, but just more of an equilibrium right now. And like it is definitely Dusk and Orgoth heavy. Not that other stuff can't win, but yeah.
The shocker though, there's no Skyrafael, or I'm not 100% sure I'm saying that name right, but that caster not being in his pairing, it's Tyrus and Moraine.
Yeah, that is
because that caster is like really oppressive. So you didn't even need it.
I know a little bit about that caster just from Captain Con earlier this year.
Yeah,
with some
getting
games
knocked
into
down.
That, like
you won though.
Yes, but
not even good.
It is still very scary to play into for sure.
Yeah. Both of his lists have Carver
Yep.
and the boar. Not surprised, but here you go. One gassed, and then yeah, one
Yep.
gassed in both lists.
I think you're. I think the problem there with that too is like you have a Carver list. Like I think if you have the lists that
Oh
are
yeah,
taking Carvers, I mean that's potentially two of your jacks in one go around when it
for
comes to
sure.
that. So and then when you look at their cavalry being 12 points, which
Busted though.
I think is warranted. Yeah, like they are so good. I was looking at
Uh,
those models as well, and I was like, Jesus,
yeah, I not neither of us surprised to see Dusk winning. Also, not surprised to see Brandon Owen
right?
doing well. Sad that he's not playing Storm Legion, but you know.
Yeah,
Also,
Chimera's really
shout out
sad,
that he's
but it's
playing
okay.
Moraine because like Moraine's a really cool model.
Agree. A double sky bomber is also
In
interesting.
Dusk is interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting from the list that I was looking through and going over. Like double sky bomber and Carver in the same list.
Hmm.
Like that's 50 points. That's half your list on
Yeah.
sky bombers and Carvers. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, Sky Bomber gains Poltergeist in Dusk, which is the if you try to hit them, you get pushed D3 away.
Do you have the list pulled up from the event? I'd be curious. I don't remember. I went through so many of them now on which caster Brandon played.
Yeah, I can tell you exactly. So he didn't say what he played in the last 2 days, but the first or last two rounds, I think it was probably 2 day. But the first 3 rounds, he played Moraine twice and um, Tyrus once.
Okay.
And then won the last two on Death Clock. And well, okay, to be fair, on two fronts, he was up 21-8.
Wow.
I'm
Okay.
sure they clock trying to kill whichever caster he was playing.
Right.
Which we've seen a
Assassination
lot of
one.
this. Two fronts is, I guess, really high scoring.
Yeah, it would seem that way. We were looking at one earlier that was 14 or 15 to 1. And I
Yeah,
was like
20.
trying to do the math, and I was like, I don't even think this works. How does that happen?
Uh,
And yeah, it's apparently you score a ton on two fronts. I think if you control the map, like you're getting what 2 points right for controlling both
yeah, you
40s
get
or both
one.
50s.
Yep. So you can get
Yeah,
4 from each side, basically.
yeah, like that's gonna add up very quickly.
Yeah, and I'm not 100% sure. A jack might be big enough to even score both 50s. I know like an 80 would be like Carver, like Warboar's definitely big enough
Right.
to score both 50s. So I would not be surprised if two fronts. Well, no, they both had boars. Either way, yeah, and also he killed
Just
98 points in that.
oof.
Or I think that's what that is, right? Yeah, army points 98.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's a yep. That's a solid one. Well,
Dusk is good.
Dusk is good.
Brandon Jones is good. Not surprised. He did it without Skyrafael. Very, very surprised.
Yeah. Shout out to Brandon for winning SoCal Open with a 5-0 undefeated Dusk list. More Dusk. Yeah, German
Ooh.
Masters. 2024 German Masters.
Yeah, we are. I looked this up to try to pronounce his name right. I think it's Woot Mashalak, right? Is what I said.
Something like
Apologies
that.
if we are wrong, though.
Yes, definitely apologies. I told you I was not going to attempt it because I was going to butcher it and I didn't want to do that to them.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's on you to try to pronounce that one. But congrats
Uh,
on the 5-0 as well here in the German Masters. Dusk again, this looks a little more traditional to at least what I saw when I started looking up lists and diving into some events and stuff.
yeah.
This pairing seems more traditional.
Yeah. Also it is interesting. Playing Scarfeld 3 times, Tyrus twice, and Tyrus in the finals against Brine Bloods down 0-4 went for the caster kill.
Interesting.
So, but this is the same. This is what also when you said more how you'd expect a list to look like. I didn't mention it, but the Skyrafael list has an Israfil, and like not seeing an Israfil in either of Brandon's lists, which maybe that character's only good with Garfield, but I've been told by every Dusk player that that character Jack is busted. So, like, it has 3-inch melee weapons.
It's pretty solid.
I think it drags. Does it? It might drag.
Also has void engines and tyruses, which I thought people were playing. At least I saw them in quite a few Dust lists. You had 0 void engines.
Yeah.
And Brandon, so like I thought that was kind of interesting.
Ooh, this has. I just want to confirm. He did not play. Brandon didn't have Kruger. Kruger is in both of these too, and Kruger's also busted.
Yeah,
So
I think
this is good.
I think it's good for faction diversity. Like, it's one thing just to be like, oh, Dusk is broken, is winning everything or whatever. And if it was the same 2 lists, same exact like list every time, like then maybe you have a problem there. And like Dusk very well might be too strong at the moment. But to have this kind of like diversity in lists, like these 2 lists are nowhere. You have different casters, which is sweet, and then even the Tyrus lists are not the same. From each to each, like dramatically different. Like you have Carvers, and the other ones you got Krugers and Void Engines, like 2 totally like different list builds and stuff, which I think is great for faction diversity. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I don't know what Dusk is bad against, if it is, to be honest.
And you also have to probably factor in the difference of this was obviously the German Masters versus Brandon Owens was obviously here in the States. So like I know a lot of times you end up with different reads on metas and what's being played and stuff. So definitely interesting to see the differences here between 2 Dust lists.
Yeah, their top 8 had 2 Dusk and 2 Orgoth, 1 Winter Core, 1 Brian Blood, and Chimera.
I will say you
or
have
2 Winter Core. 2 Winter Core.
One common factor here is Dreadguard Cavalry. It is spammed across both of all 4 of these lists. So,
which they are expensive.
12 is a lot, but like I don't know. I knew nothing about them when I was making these lists, and like I was shocked at a 12-point unit. Like I brought them up, and I was just like, "Holy cow! This unit seems so strong." So, and apparently everyone else seems to think so. It seems to be one of the biggest common factors is that running everywhere. So, but very cool list here as well. More Dusk, different variety. Love to see it.
Yeah, I think if you wanna have a good chance of winning, like Dusk is it. And I don't even know if you have to have the cadre models, to be honest. I think if like Dissis is good, but Dissis might not even be in the cadre. I think it's actually all the Mage Hunter stuff. So
I will say
you're
as
good
well,
without it.
This is probably not the time or the place, but I'm going to anyway because I'm just going to. When I was putting the list together, Mage Hunter Sniper Team. How is Mage Hunter Sniper Team in their solos? It doesn't. The word
they're
team.
They're all on like
on one.
They're all on one model now.
Yeah, but like something about a Mage Hunter Sniper Team is not a solo. Like,
right.
I was like, this doesn't make any sense. And I looked at the model. I knew it was all on one base, but I was like, this doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I'm still good, but I did lose power. Look
Is
at
that
me.
why
You
is that why you're like? I do see you on there. There's only why you're power.
Yeah.
Wild.
We're cool. We're chilling.
We're chilling. Warfaire weekend last chance qualifier. 11-1. Dan Riker takes Orgoth to 4-0 and qualifies for Masters.
Yeah. Orgoth has got the Dusk vibes. They're good.
They are pretty good. Their models look sweet as well, which I think is a.
Yeah, you're big on Orgoth, right?
I do like Orgoth. I mean, I'm exclusively playing Chimera, and I'm probably going to stick to that, but I do think Orgoth looks really cool. I do like Orgoth a lot. It is something else that I would like to play, but right now we're focusing on Chimera, which, spoiler, we have no Chimera list to go over on here, sadly. This is a sweet showing as well. So I will say just asterisks, and I probably should have put this up there. But obviously all the Warfare weekend stuff is 75 points, not 100. So obviously it's still Warfare weekend. Iron Gauntlet, so we added it to here. We covered it, but it is 75 points, not 100. So
Yeah, I think Horus is probably really good at 75.
I think Horus is good at everything.
Horus good at everything confirmed.
Yeah.
He did play both in this qualifier though, so getting in the Sabrith.
And this is another one to how we talked earlier. Like you have your 6-point Jackal, and that's it. You have,
how good was that 6-point Jackal though? Remember we played
good.
with one the other day?
It was pretty good.
And that was my complaint. I just didn't have multiples of those. I was like, let's just do a bunch of those. Two Sky Bombers though.
Double Sky Bomber at 75.
Two Sky Bombers, but they have Horus, I assume, lets you re-roll them. Like, I don't know if is he just friendly faction, but assuming he lets you re-roll the Sky Bombers, they have signs importance. So like you can really look for like high damage rolls on them. And then the 5-point solos are just surprising to only see one, but they're really good. The Keeper
is really good. I think the Axers are pretty decent too, in my opinion.
I think Nashers, Harriers, and Axers are all like theirs is only 10 points for their cavalry, and I think their cavalry is really good too.
Yep.
But yeah, this is the normal pairing. I think you're going to see every Orgoth player with Sabrith and Horus. If they don't, then they're like Brandon. They're doing something different.
They're like Brandon. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think these are again. I like the diversity though. We kind of spoke to it in Cryx, some at least, and this obviously is putting most of its points in the Sky Bombers. Over here, we have one list running a single Jack with a 6-point Jackal, and then on the other side you have multiples running 3. Well, 2.5. I'm counting Ravager as a Jack, but
Ravager does have rules where you can allocate focus to it, but it gains focus differently. Like if it takes damage, and it doesn't.
Right.
I think it doesn't lose focus. Right. Monstrosities don't dump their focus.
I believe that's accurate. At least it wasn't. I was playing Cephalix a long time ago.
Yep. So it's cool that they assume. I guess you assume there are other. Although I think we know there are other armies going to be beasts and not. I think it's going to be Fury.
That would be sweet. I will say we haven't talked much about the command cards.
Well, that's true.
We have not talked hardly about people's command card selections. I found that they were very the same. Like,
I mean, there is a core set of good command cards.
Yes,
I think,
and I feel like 90% of them are usually the same, which is okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I think there's quite a few of them though, and I think some are considerably just better than the others, and seems to be what gets taken.
Would not be upset to see those get changed somehow.
Right? Mix them up a little bit.
Yeah, like everyone seems to play like Power Swell, probably Hit and Run. You don't always play it, but like Old Faithful's good if you're.
As well.
Yeah, Old Faithful's good if you're a Warjack army, because you get to heal a Jack.
Usually there's like 3 or 4 that are the same, and then you have one off one where you're taking almost kind of like a specialized one for something.
Blessing of the Gods is very frequent if you don't have magic weapons or blessed.
Yep.
Yeah. And sometimes people, I have seen, I didn't mention it, we can mention it. The list Brandon had, his Tyrus list did have triple barrier defenses.
Yes.
Which you don't see anyone with Sapper anymore because I guess mostly lists don't have defenses, but I feel like defenses are probably still good.
They probably are. I know every list that I have built, I have put Sapper in because I'm 100% win weight on assassination, and if I don't take Sapper and you took defenses and you're just hiding behind them, like I'm just done. So like I have to take one of my 5 is gonna be Sapper every time because I'm not dying to your defense card that's there when I go for the assassination. So
yeah, interesting to see infiltration on the Sabrith list. I think infiltration is stealth, right? So
yeah, I think you give a unit stealth, which is pretty cool. And I think there's some variants like I don't feel like I took infiltration when I was building some of my lists, but most of my units in Chimera have stealth that were built
Mm-hmm.
in. So like I have not played a ton now with like the new ones and the cadres and stuff out. So like now you have the cavalry and the chain last Judes and like you have some other options now. So like maybe that becomes a card that you look at, but it was not traditionally something that I ever took just because it was everywhere. And you're probably the same thing with Careful Reconnaissance as well. Like there's factions that pretty much have Pathfinder across the board, so like it's probably not taken as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting nonetheless to see those. So congrats to Dan Riker going 4-0 in the last chance qualifier.
Yeah. Which
Qualifying
means
for
he
the
made
Iron
it.
Gauntlet.
Yeah, makes it into Iron Gauntlet. Otherwise, what are you doing the rest of the weekend?
This is
Ah, it's
true.
a joke. I'm sure there's tons of stuff to do.
So that takes us to the Iron Gauntlet Championship. Again,
Yeah.
Orgoth.
Yep. And this one, which I believe we have the names that are in Longshanks, but this is Mark LeBlanc that won this.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, all these names are copied straight from Iron Gauntlet. So if something is spelt wrong or you're wondering why a random name is up here, it's because it was an Iron Gauntlet, not for any other reason.
Yeah, will say in the top cut, not to like make callback, but Dan Riker made the top cut. He made day 2.
Yep, which is exciting.
So,
Getting there through the last chance qualifier and then making day 2.
yeah, and this is like the first event, in my opinion, where we really see some legacy armies
Yeah, I think the top 4
doing
was
well.
double Orgoth.
Blindwater Congregation and
Yeah.
Infernals.
Yep.
Yep. So finals was Orgoth and Gators, with Orgoth getting the big dub. Not again. Orgoth and Dusk are really good. So, well, at least I think they're good. Maybe someone will tell us that we're wrong. But he won on scenario with Horisk, and that to me that's not surprising.
Yeah, pretty good. 5-point Jackal. Even got a little bit cheaper here on this one. And then he's running double Axers, which I think is pretty sweet. I think the Axers are cool. I think they're good.
Like if that army has no access to tough, like I can't tell you how many times I've watched someone 4-up tough these models on feet turn with +3 armor.
Yep, it's a pain. The only recent game I played into recently was into him, and it is not fun.
Yeah,
It's
so
very hard to get through.
two keepers are insane as well. Like I think those are the ones that go really high armor. I think that they might be the ones with the shield. If they're not, even if they're not, like they're for 5 points, the models you get for those solos is
Solid.
they're like archons, like not kidding, at 5 points.
She said they're like Archons.
Yeah, people can tell me if I'm wrong, but in my opinion, they are archons at 5 points.
I do like so command cards again, real quick. Kind of what we were just talking about. Very similar. You're both taking blessing. You're both taking grave robbing. Both taking power swell, and then you have arcane forces and sapper on one side versus hit and run, and careful reconnaissance on the other. So again, like very standard. Then you take a couple unique ones. I will say,
Either way, though.
right?
But yeah, Warfare weekend won by Orgoth, double Orgoth, and the actually top 8 is 4 Orgoth.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah, shout out to the 3 armies of legend that made it.
This is true.
Oh, what's that called? Final interdiction for Menoth. People still play it. Like I get it. That's what you have and you love. Or I've heard a lot of people just say that none of the Mark IV armies are for them yet, which I can understand that.
So that was my initial problem when it came over, is it was all Warmachine's armies, and like I was a Hordes person, so like that was the biggest probably detractor. Like if the first armies that all would have dropped would have been Hordes armies, there would have been a much better chance that I didn't have the like downtime on Warmachine. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I do.
So yeah, I think that's
and you were a Legion guy, so Chimera was. Although you were also Trolls guy, but I get you didn't like the Pirate Trolls.
Yeah, I'm not really here for the new Pirate Trolls, even though what's your new Colossal?
The Abyssal
The
King.
Abyssal King.
Yeah.
That dude's sweet looking.
Yeah, that model looks good.
The
I think
120s are
Brine
dope.
Bloods are okay, but I assume probably so like January. I think it's like they do the like balancing. I wouldn't be surprised if there was like some Brine Blood like buffs. Although I don't know. I mean, like you look at it and there's Brine Bloods that lost in the finals, right? So it's not like more so. I hope he just buffed the stuff people aren't playing.
Right. You don't want to see nerfs to the stuff that's dominating?
I mean, yeah, you probably do. But I mean, I don't know how hard you go because they
Right.
don't do data slates. Like, how many they do a year? 44 and 40K. Like, how many? I think maybe there's
More than
two
that.
for Warmachine.
Right.
I think there's one in the middle of the year. People could correct us if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I do not know what they're... I especially don't know what Steamforge Games is doing now.
That's true.
Like, they
Which
could completely change that.
I will say, I've heard a lot of like bad and good, but I got my Abyssal King pretty quick from them, thankfully. But I am in the U.S. I think it's bad overseas though.
That's possible. I ordered all of that Chimera stuff the other day and had it in 4 days. Something like that. I ordered stuff straight from Steamforge Gauge and from Discount Games Inc. And I got them both on Friday. So I was impressed. It all came. It was quick. Everything looks good. Was impressed for sure. But yes, that is the best list in Warmachine for the past month that has been winning events. Definitely feel free to jump in the comments. Glad to be back. Glad to hear from some of you guys. Hopefully we're about to find out how many people are still subscribed to Warjax Games Club. See if you guys get those notifications. But let us know in the comments what you think, if you like it, if you like this style at all. We're considering continuing doing semi-recent or semi-frequent like list reviews and going through like the best list in Warmachine and what is winning and what's out there right now. So if you like this kind of style, let us know. We'd definitely be interested in continuing to do those. We'd probably be focusing mostly on singles events and 100 points. This one would be dropped into 75 for Warfare Weekend. But it'll mostly be that, and then potentially even some like team events here and there. So let us know what you think, and glad to be back.